My father called me selfish. 3 days later, the bank proved who really was. I was 26 when everything finally shattered for good. My sister Brenda was 23, the golden child, the shining light of my parents' lives. She worked part-time at some overpriced boutique, lived in an apartment whose rent I'd been covering, half of it anyway, for the last 2 years. I was the disappointment, despite having a steady job, a paid-off car, and full financial independence since I was 19. The labels in our family never made sense, except that they always benefited Brenda. The breaking point came at my mother's birthday dinner. We were at her favorite Italian restaurant, candles flickering, the smell of garlic bread in the air. Brenda leaned back in her chair and said casually, "I've been thinking about getting a new car. Something cute, maybe a convertible." My father beamed. "You deserve it, princess." Then he turned to me, expectant. "What do you think, son? You could help your sister out with this, right?" I felt my stomach twist. "I already pay half her rent," I said quietly. "I think that's enough." The air froze. My father's expression darkened. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means exactly what I said. I already support Brenda financially. I'm not buying her a car." Brenda pouted like a child denied dessert. "I thought you were doing better at work. It's just a little help. A little help. The same little help that had drained every ounce of my patience over the years. The little help that had stopped me from moving to a better place or taking that trip to Rome I'd been saving for." My father's voice boomed. "This is how you treat your sister after everything we've done for you?" I laughed bitterly. "What exactly have you done for me, Dad? I paid for my own college. I bought my own car. I've been supporting myself since I was 19. His face turned crimson. "You ungrateful—" "No," I interrupted. "I'm tired. Tired of being treated like the family ATM while Brenda gets to play princess. Because she is better than you," he shouted, slamming his fist against the table. The words hung in the air like smoke. Finally, the truth spoken aloud. I let out a short, humorless laugh. "Then she doesn't need my help anymore." I stood up. "That means I won't be paying her rent next month, or ever again. Get out of my house," he barked, pointing to the door. "Gladly," I said. Then I turned to Brenda. "By the way, maybe ask Dad, who's really been covering your rent for the last 2 years, before you accuse me of being selfish." Her face went pale. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done. You've been living in that apartment for 2 years. I've paid half your rent every month. Dad hasn't contributed a dime, despite what he told you." She blinked, stunned. "But Dad said—" "Dad lied." I walked out and didn't look back. Brenda couldn't afford her rent without my help. Within a week, she called me 17 times. I didn't answer. Dad refused to help her, despite all his talk about family duty. I closed the joint emergency account I'd foolishly shared with Brenda, the one she used for emergencies, like handbags and spa days. But the real betrayal came 3 days later. I got a call from the bank. They were repossessing my car, the car I'd paid off years ago. Apparently, my father had taken out a $7,000 title loan against my vehicle 6 months earlier. I demanded the documents, and there it was, my signature, perfectly forged. He'd used my social security number, my ID copies, everything. It wasn't just manipulation anymore. It was identity theft. The bank didn't care that I hadn't signed the loan. Either I paid it or they'd take the car. I sold the vehicle myself, cleared the debt, and bought a cheaper one. When my father found out, he called me, enraged. "How dare you sell that car? Didn't you know I needed that money?" I hung up without saying a word. 3 weeks later, I learned he'd been draining our family savings account, the one I'd been contributing to since I was 16. I withdrew every cent left, $7,853, and closed it. "You can't do this to us!" he screamed over the phone. "Family doesn't steal from each other, Dad." 2 days later, I came home to find my apartment door ajar. My TV, laptop, and my late grandfather's watch gone. My father had used a spare key. That was the final straw. I called the police, filed reports, and hired a lawyer. The pawn shop owner remembered my father clearly. I confronted him with the evidence and recorded him admitting to the theft. When I threatened to press charges, he finally paid back every cent. That was 3 years ago. Last week, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. She looked older, deflated almost. "You look well," she said quietly. "I am well," I replied.